Right, let's expand the conversation to talk more about the relationship between the SACP and the ANC. We're now joined by a political analyst from the University of Johannesburg, Vusi Gumbi. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, differing views on what the impact could be. We know the ANC and the SACP have shared a long-standing alliance. I mean, it dates back to the liberation struggle. How significant is this split on the political front and symbolically so?
I think the split will be more significant from a symbolic point of view. As you correctly point out, that the two parties played a pivotal role alongside each other in the liberation struggle, in the struggle for freedom in South Africa. So it goes way back from the days of, Joe Slovo, Chris Hani on the SACP, and people like Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo's in the ANC. So from a symbolic point of view, it does signal the end of an era, so to speak, because for a very long time we couldn't separate the two. They were cut from the same cloth, ideologically and otherwise, right? So I think the split will be felt more symbolically than electorally, contrary to what some other analysts may say, with all due respect.
Yeah.
I don't think that the split of the SACP and their decision to contest election will cause the ANC any further harm. I don't think they'll cause any further dent than what they've already suffered.
Why
I
is
think
that?
the split will be more symbolic. I mean, if you check, case in point, just more recently, they contested their by-elections in Seshego, and they got a mere 70 votes, right? Not 7,000, not 70,000, just 7,000 in a particular ward in Seshego, right? But beyond that, I don't think, especially in the context of South African electoral politics, where we understand that part of our electorate follow politics of personality cult, right? That's part of the reason that defines South African politics, right? People follow draw cards, right? And as it stands, the SACP does not have that. If you ask an ordinary voter in South Africa, they don't think Buti Manamela is a member of the SACP. They consider him a member of the ANC. They don't consider people like Tula Singlesi members of the SACP. I'm talking about people who serve in government, right? If you talk to, ordinary voters who don't have the type of knowledge that you and I have, they can't differentiate. So when they look at Butina Manamela as the Minister of Higher Education, the first thing that comes to mind is the ANC. It's not the SACP. Even people like Bledin Zimande, Tula Singlesi, Jeff Radebe, in fact, who even at some point tried to contest for leadership in the ANC and did not meet the threshold. Ordinary people on the ground don't look at Jeff Radebe and think the SACP. They don't look at Tula Singlesi and think SACP. They look at them and think the ANC. So the SACP has failed to define itself electorally outside of the ANC. So there's nothing that they can say is their identity. I think at some point, in fact, when Bledin Zimande was the Minister of Higher Education, there's some lady who said, Blade is not a communist, right? So I do not think that the SACP will do a further dent electorally to the ANC than what they've already suffered. If they are going to suffer an electoral loss next year, I don't think it will be because of the SACP. It will be because of maybe the emergence of new political parties at the local sphere and things like that. But electorally, I don't think the SACP rather has done enough to define itself electorally outside of the tripartite alliance.
Okay, so are you saying then that the SACP, in terms of gauging its success, can it succeed on its own in a political environment dominated by bigger, well-resourced parties?
No, it won't.
Yeah.
It won't. In simple terms, it won't. Remember, political parties also exist because of a vacuum. What is it? What is the space that you are trying to fill? What is the space that you are trying to infiltrate as a political party? And on that basis, by definition, from a theoretical point of view, the SACP seek to contest the same electoral space contested, say, by the EFF, by the very same ANC, and by extension, maybe the MKP. Now, what is it that the SACP has that these three other parties don't already have, right? I've already said earlier that first and foremost, the party does not have a draw card. I think I read a few weeks back that some part of the reason why some leaders within the SACP who serve in the GNU are skeptical about the party's prospects of contesting elections alone is because they are aware that they don't have enough support on the ground to garner support to contend the ANC or to have play a pivotal role in the changing dynamics of South Africa's electoral politics. So the space that they are trying to contest is already congested because you've got the ANC itself, you've got the EFF, you've got the MKP, maybe by extension, maybe parties like the ATM. So, and these parties that I'm talking about have maybe institutional history, they've got draw cards. The SACP still has to first identify itself outside of the ANC.
Okay, so do you think that this then could be, in terms of just gauging the situation, could it be a calculated attempt by the SACP to perhaps at this point in time test its own electoral muscle, or is it more of a protest against the ANC's current direction?
I think it's more a protest against the NC's direction. The involvement of parties like the Freedom Front Plus, a right-wing political party, the DA, a liberal political party. They've said it time and time again that these two political parties and their inclusion in the GNU is directly in contrast with the principles of the ANC of radical socio-economic transformation. So it's not really about gauging the extent to which they've got electoral support in the country, but rather a protest, right? It's more about a symbolic protest to say we want to put it on record that we're against a GNU of the DA, of the Freedom Front Plus, together with the ANC. But I think if they are aware and they do self-introspection, they will reach the same conclusion that I am putting forward tonight, that they do not have enough electoral support. For them, it's merely about a protest with a GNU of the Democratic Alliance and the Freedom Front Plus.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Political analyst from the University of Johannesburg, Vusi Gumbi.